Well, 2 years ago, Governor Ricketts appointed attorney Andrew Grone to a Western Sarpy County legislative seat after the office holder, John Moranti, became state treasurer. Now Grone is running to keep his seat, but this year he's facing a tough challenger, small business owner Jen Day. 3 News Now reporter John Kipper tells us what separates both candidates.
District 49 Republicans outnumbered Democrats almost 2-1. But in May, Democrat Jen Day surprised in the primary, beating incumbent Andrew Grone, giving her momentum for a rematch in the general.
The primary came an entire year plus after we really started putting in the groundwork to get my name out there and to get people more engaged with the process. So I think that was definitely a huge part of the win in the primary.
Well, Grone, a registered Republican in a race that's technically nonpartisan, says he's been out campaigning all summer. He's putting his support of law enforcement front and center in the campaign.
We've seen a lot of policies introduced to the legislature that would inhibit the ability of law enforcement to do their jobs. And I'm going to stand strong and ensure that our brave men and women of law enforcement have the ability to do their jobs and have the resources they need to do that.
Day's biggest focus is education and making sure it's well funded. She says she would vote against bills that lower property taxes while at the same time redoing the way Nebraska schools are funded.
That's why a lot of people move here, is for the public schools for their kids. So I want to make sure that we're protecting that funding and that we're improving on that funding.
Well, Grone was a major supporter of a bill that brought some amount of property tax relief last session. He says that they can properly fund schools and give out tax relief.
We still need to ensure that we make the structural changes necessary to provide even more tax relief, but at the same time ensuring that we have the best schools that this state can provide.
Well, Grone also has introduced a bill that requires Nebraskans to show an ID in order to vote. The bill failed, but during the hearing, Secretary of State Bob Ebden said it would stop a future problem from occurring in our election.
This is a voter confidence issue that we hear about today, and the fact that voters say that they think it's a common sense measure that will give them more confidence in our election system, I think means it's something that we need to look at and implement.
We should be focusing on the problems that do exist before we start, imagining other problems that could come up in the future.
The Grone campaign had a bit of a mishap when they sent out this flyer with a picture of a woman that looks like his opponent, but it turned out not to be Jen Day.
It was obviously inadvertent, and we've addressed it moving forward.
Just a lazy mistake, and I think it just reflects how unseriously he's taken this race and this job.
In Sarpy County, John Kipper, 3 News Now.
Day has also criticized Grone for not answering constituents' emails and phone calls. Grone said he's proud of how he helps constituents, especially during the pandemic.